Welcome everybody to the first ever opening of the Beer Brackets Cellar. This, Alessandro, is going to be very exciting. You can see my my library of leather-bound books over here. It's very
feels
appropriate.
Like we're sitting right there next to the fire.
That's what it's meant to be. High budget right here. High production value. What we're going to be doing in this series of episodes, we are so excited about this. We're going to be reaching deep down into the deepest depths of the Beer Brackets Cellar and pulling out craft, obscure, hard to find beers that match a certain topic, a certain theme of the episode, whatever it is. And today we're going to be exploring a beer that we've never talked about on the channel before. It's a brand new category of beer for us. And we're going to be exploring craft porters. How do you feel about porters?
It's a tough question.
It's a general question.
It's a tough question.
It's a hard-hitting question to hit you with right away.
Yeah.
In this very first cellar.
Right? Because, I mean, porters, they're not very common. I don't know about you, but we kind of talked about it. They're a little bit hard to find, right?
If you would give somebody a definition really quickly of what is a porter before we get started, for anybody, for the uninitiated coming into the Beer Bracket Cellar, what would you tell them? And we will have an Inside the Brackets coming on the difference between porters and stouts, so keep an eye open for that one, but a general porter definition.
Well, a porter is a historical style that was considered one of the first industrialized styles of beer that was born in England.
An old established tradition, why we've even got songs about it.
If you want your child to grow, your child to grow, your child to grow. If you want your child to grow, give him a jar of porter.
It was mainly associated with
it's an industrial
roasted characters of the malt. And initially it was just because that was really one of the easiest, or not easiest, one of the most available ways to produce the malt. It normally involves a beer that is darker in color, has roasty characteristics, not always necessarily sweet. It could tend more, sometimes also towards sourness, at least historically. And this style has evolved and become been exported everywhere around, the world. That has evolved into other different styles. But it's very difficult to define what porters are. Even an author like Mosher, in his book, he's very he defines it as it's as easy as defining the multiverse.
I could almost feel the heat from this little fireplace here on the screen. You know what?
Above me?
I haven't always. Porters are the type of beer where if, and you mentioned this to me once before very recently, where you're if you go to a brewery, you go to a bar and a porter's on a menu, it's not necessarily that you're not a fan of it, you're not going to like it, but it's not necessarily the first beer that you're going to order, right? You might go for something else. And so I've had a lot of porters in my time, but I haven't appreciated a lot of porters. So what I did, my friend, we are going to open and close our porter beer brackets. Alessandro and I dug deep into the Beer Bracket Cellar to pull out craft beers that we could find where we are, me being in Canada, him being down in the States. And we're going to explore these craft porters and we're going to give you our impressions. I chose 2 craft porters that are very unique. Very, very unique. And take a little bit of a different spin on the style. So I'm excited. I'm always the gentleman, my friend. I'll let you start. What are you opening your craft porter beer brackets with?
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Always the gentleman and the scholar you are.
Especially with this, I'm quite the scholar.
You are. So for the first one, I went with a friend of ours, we can say now.
No.
The Coppertail Night Swim.
Yes. The good people at Coppertail.
Yes. It's a beer that I've actually had a few times here. And, I enjoy it. So this is not new to me, but I think that it's a great example of what a craft beer can be if they're trying to tackle this specific style. I can tell you that it's made with local chocolate nibs, and plus obviously their signature malts and hops. So it's going to be interesting to try it here today. Would you?
I think we've been to Coppertail twice together. I've never tried one of their porters. I'm really curious to hear what that one's like. Actually, now I know which one I'm going to open my brackets with. And this beer has a little bit of a special ability, a superpower to it, if you will, my friend. And this belongs for the first ever beer that I'm going to pull out of the Beer Bracket Cellar. No beer belongs in a cellar more than this one.
Ooh.
Friend, this is from a Ontario-based brewery called Big Rig. And this is their Tales from the Patch Pumpkin Porter.
Ooh, wow.
And now, I've never had a pumpkin porter before. We talked about pumpkin beers in our Halloween episode. summoning the ghost of Michael Jackson, but I've never had a pumpkin porter before, so this is a big adventure for me. But one thing that's amazing about this, the can glows in the dark. Right around the logo, the pumpkin patch logo.
That's exciting. I think it has like the perfect superpower here to start this new series.
Let's crack these open. Let's pour them out. Let's give our impressions, man.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
We have been saw beer for too long. Oh, wow. Right out of the can. Just like pumpkin pie.
Probably not, but resemble the one I had in the Halloween episode, like at least from the sound of it. It had like that chocolate almost like notes to it with the pumpkin pie flavors.
Was that the Warlock?
That was a Warlock, yes. That's more of a stout, but from how you said it, like made me think of that.
Cheers, buddy. Let me know what you think. Let's give these porters a taste.
Cheers to you, my friend.
Oh, wow. Ooh. That's a lot lighter than I was expecting. I was expecting something a little bit more syrupy, kind of thick in body. This is really light and sort of fluffy in body. Yeah, really highly carbonated. You see here, it's got like a really light, fluffy
nice head. Yeah, absolutely. This one here, it's the head like kind of dissipated a little bit, but it's still like the body, like you described, very light and fluffy. It's a great descriptor. Like it, same thing here. It has those deep roasted, definitely chocolate, at least for me on this one, but they are very elevated by this carbonation.
I'm trying to get some different notes on the taste. I'm actually a little taken aback by this. It's a little milder than what I would expect from other porters that I had. When I think porter, I think of really strong taste and finish. This one is really mild. This is more of like a dark lager almost. It's actually surprising. Like this is really sessionable. This is really drinkable. The finish is really mild. There's a little bit of bitterness on the finish. You get the pumpkin that lingers there a little bit as well. But not too strong. It's not an overpowering, like on the aroma I was saying it's pumpkin pie, like really sweet and dense. And the taste and the aroma, it's really light.
Yeah, it definitely has like a little bit more, at least for me in the one I'm having here, a little bit more deeper roasted notes, a little bit of chocolate. Obviously, they're using chocolate in this one here. If I had to differentiate it a little bit from the Dunkels, it definitely has like a lot of similarities. I think really the richness of the flavors, like it's... the Dunkel has like still a little bit of presence of hops, at least for me on this. Like it's more about the malt and the deep, dark flavors.
More about the malt, yeah.
What about yours, my friend?
It's definitely more about the malt, but there's a nice sort of that roast coffee in the finish that I do associate with the porters there too.
Yes.
I like how they use the pumpkin in this. It's really strong on the aroma at first, but on the taste and the finish, it's just like a spice that's there to accompany the really sort of heavy malt presence. This is really delicious. I'm impressed. This is probably the most drinkable porter I've ever had in my life. It's a Big Rig Brewery. Yeah, Tales from the Pumpkin Patch. You know what? I will say, Big Rig Brewery, this was a missed beer opportunity, because when I saw Tales from the Pumpkin Patch and the glow-in-the-dark can, and you got that really cool little pumpkin logo there, I was expecting there to be a really cool beer story to go along with this. But I went to their website, I did some digging, and there's nothing. There's no story. Missed opportunity, Big Rig. Missed opportunity. Every good beer needs a legend, I think.
I couldn't agree more, my friend. Couldn't agree more. I think like on
ripe for a legend.
On this one, kind of the same. Like I mean, there's a little bit of explanation of the hops, like, and obviously the style, like the way they approach the style. But again, like no particular legend on this one either. Missed opportunities there.
So final impressions before we move on to our closing beer bracket.
Well, honestly, like I've had this before, but I'm rediscovering it a little bit now that we've been on this beer journey together, and I would say that it's definitely more sessionable than what I remembered. So I would think this more of almost like an after dinner beer, like something like just to finish a dessert beer. Yes, exactly.
Well, that's what porters should be. That's what I always imagine a porter being, a nice dessert beer, almost like instead of sipping on a brandy or a scotch, you sip on a porter.
Exactly, my friend. That's best way to describe it. How about you, my friend? Like any final words here for our glowing in the dark pumpkin beer?
I think just that, I'm really impressed with the sessionability of it. I'm really impressed with how this reminds me more of a dunkel than a porter. I would definitely recommend this if you're a fan of like late pumpkin flavors in your beer, along with some dark roasted coffee, maybe a little bit of chocolate, but the malt's really being present. Big Rig Brewery, highly recommended. All right, my friend, I think we need to put these beers aside and we need to find out what we are reaching deep into the cellar to grab.
Oh, so see, I'm excited about this one because this one I actually have not tried. And it's also a specific style of porter that I've only had once before.
Tell me. What is it?
So this beer is called Komes. It's from the brewery Fortuna in Poland, which we've talked about like how much like Polish beers are severely underrated.
Very, yeah.
And this is a Baltic porter, which is a sub-style of the porters that became like kind of like popular after the porters were exported from England all around, and in the Baltic Sea, all those countries like really liked them and they started producing them. But the cool thing about Baltic porters, and this one here in particular, is that they're not actually ales; they're lagers for the most part. So they're made at fermented at low temperature. And in this particular case, they're fermented in the old traditional style with open vats, and they are bottle fermented. So I am very excited.
That sounds amazing. Oh my God, a bottle fermented porter. Baltic porter. That sounds incredible.
That's quite of an interesting mix here.
I'm going to watch attentively as you open that. I want to see what a bottle fermented porter looks like. I went with very unique porters. And so for my closing beer bracket, this is from a brewery called Double Trouble in Toronto, Ontario. Two good friends who created a brewery. This is called their Pecan Pie Porter. So one thing about me is I do really enjoy pecan pie. In Quebec, they do something called tarte à sucre, which is like a sugar pie. And it's very similar to a pecan pie, but just without the pecans. But it's a very similar base. And I love this stuff. And so I am very curious to see what a pecan pie porter tastes like. And I was actually so excited when I saw this one. I couldn't wait. I was like, I'm really desperate to see what this is all about. So let's crack these open and let's close our craft porter beer brackets. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's almost like, it's kind of reminiscent of like a pastry stout at first, but I'm getting really strong, almost like milk chocolate aromas out of the can. This one is thicker. This one is darker. I can already tell the body is a lot more syrupy and creamy. At least it looks like. We'll see when I take a sip. Oh, wow.
My friend, let me tell you, this is exciting. One thing I wanted to mention is that they do mention on the website, but also on the back of the bottle, which is very convenient. Komes is stored for 36 months. The beer changes its taste, so you can store it up to 36 months, according to them. And so you can decide how long you want to store it and mature it in the bottle. And it says that there's this nice little chart, and I'll make sure to take a picture of it so we can put it on the screen.
Yeah, we'll put it.
And it starts at 4 months, and it says like fresh and roasted character, and the more it goes towards the 36, it says dry and complex. So this is more on the fresh side because within the 8 months.
That's so cool that it gives you a chart of the different characteristics for the different lengths of time to age it, and like the different. That's amazing. I've never seen anything like that before.
Right?
That's really cool.
That's pretty cool.
I'm
gonna just show you here on the side,
so cool.
so you like. It's,
there it is. Beer is
one
such
of the
a magical
things that
thing.
it's also nice about it. This is again lager, but it's 9%.
Wow,
which is pretty high.
Well, cheers, buddy. The aroma on this one is just like I'm dying to go in and take a sip.
Cheers.
Let's see. Yeah. You know what?
Wow.
I'm going to say something. I'm a little bit disappointed because this doesn't taste like pecan pie.
Well, that's misleading if that's what it says on the can.
I was hoping for a pure pecan pie taste. It's really good. Don't get me, but it just doesn't taste like pecan pie. It just tastes really strongly of chocolate. Really, I got to take another reading here.
Let's take another beerometer reading.
Maybe I'm missing it, Maybe I'm just misinterpreting some characters here, but it's more just like a milk chocolate. You know, this extra like coffee, bitter notes. It's actually really nice. It's really refreshing. It's really light in body, even though it poured a little heavy. And it leaves like a good thick lacing on the glass. You would think it would be a little bit more of like an oily, thick mouthfeel, but it's really light, really effervescent. This is delicious, but it's not pecan pie. I don't know. I'm a little taken aback.
That's a little misleading, I would say. Like, you know, if if you're expecting it, like that's understandable that you're a little disappointed.
But it's good. But this is the type of porter that I was thinking about originally. The first one that I had was very drinkable. This is the type of beer where I would struggle to finish a pint of it. That really strong, bitter roast finish that you associate with, let's say, like a black coffee, a shot of espresso. It's very present. What about yours, man? With the bottle fermentation, how is that affecting it?
I don't know about the bottle fermentation. Like, I just poured like a little bit out of it. So as you can see, it doesn't seem to have like too much of a carbonation effect like we're used to, right? Like, but I will tell you, the taste is mind-blowing, at least. Like, tell me. You know, starting from the aroma, it's extremely complex. Like it has like almost sour notes. Resembling a little bit of the Duchess, but not quite as vinegary.
Oh, wow,
they're a little
sour.
bit more on the savory side,
okay,
which is already inviting. But then you take a sip, and you have those notes of almost like licorice, black licorice, which is something that I'm not used to experiencing in beer. Mixed with coffee and chocolate, it's incredibly unique. For 9%, like, this is incredibly light and incredibly carbonated, even if there's not, like, as you can see, there's not much head to it. You know, easy to drink, which is scary.
There's notes of Finoc on the beer.
Yeah, kind of like, but it's not as much as star anise, but a little bit more like I don't know if you've ever had those. They're very popular in the Scandinavian countries, like those dark licorice but covered with chocolate. So you'd bite into it and you have this chocolate like exploding, and then the licorice. It's almost like that kind of like type of licorice. I don't know if that makes sense, but
that makes
very
perfect
unique.
sense, yeah. That's actually like a very vivid descriptor. I can totally picture that.
It's painting the picture right in my head. Like when I take a sip, like, and it's very well done, very balanced. Again, like at this point, I'm thinking like, how would it taste if you let it age? That's my next question. So maybe this is perfect for the beer cellar.
It is perfect for the beer cellar. What a great way to wrap up this fantastic first episode of the Beer Bracket Cellar, my friend. This was a pleasure. We explored porters for the first time on the channel. As I mentioned, keep an eye open. We do have an Inside the Brackets that'll be coming down the line on the channel, comparing porters and stouts, going over in detail what the difference is to get you all informed on that one. So keep an eye open for that. Thank you for joining us, everybody, in the Beer Bracket Cellar. Do you have a favorite porter? Let us know down below. Also, let us know, what do you have in your beer cellar currently? Would it rival a pecan pie porter that doesn't taste like pecan pie? Let me know.
Yeah, let us know. And no matter what, don't forget to close your beer brackets.
Hopefully you're enjoying your beer in a salon that looks much like this one right here, with many leather-bound books. Cheers, everyone.